Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Sonali Manikabadake. We start off first with tonight's headlines.
5 TSD officers killed in the Minuwangoda accident. Dr. A.T. Ariratna, Dr. Radhika Kumaraswamy and President's Counsel Shibli Aziz nominated to the Constitutional Council. Key witness in Wasim Tajuddin's murder case has been intimidated, a revelation made in court. Final rites of News First, you reporter Priyantha Ratnayaka performed.
5 individuals attached to the Presidential Security Division died as a result of an accident this morning on the Colombo-Minuwangoda main road.
The jeep carrying the Presidential Security Division personnel travelling from Colombo to Nekavaratia collided onto 2 buses in Miriswatha, Minuwangoda. The fatal moments of this accident was captured on CCTV cameras installed in a nearby establishment. The PSD personnel were on their way to attend a funeral in Nekavaratia. 4 police officers serving as PSD personnel died on the spot. Another police officer who sustained serious injuries died upon admission to the hospital. 6 others, including a woman who was seriously injured, were admitted to the Gampa hospital for treatment.
The first meeting of the Constitutional Council commenced today under the auspices of the Speaker Karu Jayasuriya.
The Constitutional Council focused on the appointment of 3 civil society representatives to the council. Accordingly, Dr. A.T. Ariratna, Dr. Radhika Kumaraswamy and President's Counsel Shibli Aziz were proposed as the civil society representatives. The Constitutional Council had decided to produce these names before Parliament on the 22nd of September. A communique by the Council reads that proposals will be sought from the leaders of the accepted political parties, professionals and civil organizations over the appointment to the commissions. The Constitutional Council will reconvene on the 21st and 23rd of September.
A special workshop for parliamentarians was carried out today.
The workshop was conducted at the Parliamentary Complex under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
I asked the Speaker to give me the list of names of the parliamentarians who are serving in Parliament for the first time. And I said that only those who you confirm are given the decentralized budgets. Because if they have not commenced a proper program by the 22nd of September, we do not intend on allocating a decentralized budget for the next year. So we urge that the parliamentary sessions be telecast live. We have to get this done by next year. We will not stop it. By doing this, the public will know which parliamentarian is at his or her seat during sessions and will begin to wonder as to why certain MPs or ministers are not in their seats. They can see for themselves where their elected public representative is.
Now parliamentary විශාල බලතල විපක්ෂයට පැවරෙනවා.
The opposition will be vested with a vast amount of powers in the new parliament. We hope to further strengthen the stable committees. And as proposed by the Prime Minister, the opposition will get more powers to the executive committees. We hope to grant all powers required to the COP and Parliamentary Select Committee to enable them to successfully carry out their duties to safeguard public funds. Administrational powers in the district will not only be given for MPs in the ruling party, but also for MPs in the opposition. So we see this as a new political vision.
This parliament, as we all know, will play a critical role in fulfilling the priorities identified for this country over the next 5 years. This is a challenging task for any parliament, and it is indicative of the responsibilities and high expectations placed upon you as members of parliament by your respective constituencies and by the people of Sri Lanka.
The stance adopted by the Attorney General's Department over the recent past with respect to certain high-profile cases has come under a great deal of scrutiny and public debate.
That's right. Social media has been rife with reaction to the most recent development where the Attorney General in a press release justified its stance with regard to cases filed against Avantgarde Security Services Private Limited and Kumaran Padmanathan.
The Aegis Department is vested with a diverse role and with a great responsibility to ensure that justice is meted out. With regard to criminal matters, the Aegis Department has a task of evaluating evidence in order to decide whether there are sufficient grounds to indict or discharge a suspect. In order to reach this conclusion, the Attorney General must work closely with the investigative arm of the state, which may be the Criminal Investigations Department or Special Investigations Unit of the Police, as a case may require both the Aegis Department and the investigative officers to work efficiently and expediently with the main aim of securing justice. While the Aegis Department once came under the Ministry of Justice, under the previous government, it was brought under the purview of the President under one of his portfolios.
Under the previous government, the Aegis Department was brought under the purview of the President. At present, that is not the situation. The Aegis Department operates under the subject minister. We are aware that some unlawful and illegal acts took place within the framework of the law. Because of that, sometimes criminal cases cannot be filed on those incidents. Previously, the Attorney General's Department was the most exemplary department in the country, and the Attorney General was considered as a respectable individual. However, the Aegis Department is not respected as much as it was respected before. The reason is because the Aegis Department was politicized over the recent past in an unnecessary manner. As a result, the politicization of the Aegis Department has prevented the talented attorneys at the department from acting independently to their fullest potential. When you take the case of Avantgarde into consideration, it was much of a publicized issue. However, what has happened today? The Aegis Department has said that the prosecutions can be instituted only if there is sufficient and admissible evidence. If that is the case, why was it not mentioned before? If it was said before, the government would not have fallen into such a situation. It can be understood that it was used against political enemies. According to my opinion, it is the Attorney General's Department that needs to be held accountable for this situation, as they did not provide the appropriate instructions to the government.
Over the recent past, the actions of the Aegis Department with regard to certain cases came under scrutiny.
We have credible evidence with us to prove these claims. Therefore, we have no issue in naming persons. The Deputy Solicitor General had made a recommendation of 3 pages to the Attorney General. The recommendation clearly states that the law of the country had been violated. This is an instance where Avantgarde had violated the law. He had recommended that a case be filed. He had recommended for legal procedures. One of the persons is the owner of Avantgarde, Nisanka Senadipati. The others include Gotabaya Rajapaksa. When a Deputy Solicitor General makes a recommendation to the AG can inquire from the other Deputy Solicitor Generals on this matter. Based on the information we have, the other 3 Deputy Solicitor Generals had made oral and written submissions. The AG is the head of the institution. If he feels that the submissions are incorrect, he can call for another inquiry from the Deputy Solicitor Generals. However, such an inquiry had not been made and a decision was given. The Attorney General did not follow the proper procedure at the department. We see this as a grave wrong committed by the Attorney General's Department.
How can the Secretary of Defence form an institution like this without informing the Cabinet? How was it operated? How did an unconstitutional act come into effect? The labour laws have been violated. There are doubts that the armed gangs were involved in the shooting in Valiveria. We could not prove this, and that is why this is important. What the Attorney General says should apply to him. The respect for the Aegis Department is no more. Under the Firearms Ordinance, bail cannot be granted for possessing a pistol, gun or even a knife. It is unbailable. It is said that the floating armory was rented out to Somalia. They say that weapons were sold and rented out. In this backdrop, there are views being expressed by the public over the release of the passports of these people.
passport release කරපු ගැන ජනතාව අතර යම් යම් මත තියෙනවා. මෙහෙ නෙමෙයි ඉන්දියාවේ. නැත්තම් මට නඩු වැටෙන්න පුළුවන්. මම කියන්නේ මේක හරිම පුදුම තත්ත්වයක්.
role of the Attorney General in deciding on a criminal prosecution is based on the material which is placed before him by the investigating officers. Once an investigating officer, that is the police, present to the Attorney General the relevant information or extracts and investigation notes, he has to make a considered decision on the material available whether he would prosecute a person on particular charges, and also on what charges a person should be prosecuted. Now, in that, when the Attorney General has to take that call, he has to do that impartially. He cannot take decisions which people want him to take, or popular decisions. He has to look at the facts, look at the law, and take a decision according to law, keeping in mind what the prospects are of a conviction, of an ultimate conviction.
The Attorney General's Department informed court today that a key witness in the case of Wasim Tajuddin's killing had been intimidated. Senior State Counsel D. Ratnayaka informed the Colombo Additional Magistrate that investigations of the Criminal Investigations Department too are being pressured.
When the case on the death of Wasim Tajuddin was taken up once again today before Colombo Additional Magistrate Nishant Pires, permission was granted to direct the mobile phone of the late Raghurai, which was located recently, to the Department of Computer Science of the University of Colombo. Court also instructed the Criminal Investigations Department that it will have to investigate the matter based on circumstantial evidence and commit itself to apprehend the suspects. As an official post-mortem examination reports over the incident has not been documented with court, the aggravated party noted that it had been taken over by a judicial medical officer under the name of Ananda Samrasekara. Court also directed its attention towards the statement made by JMO Samrasekara today. In a letter to court, he had noted the JMO carrying out the fresh post-mortem examination on Wasim Tajuddin was threatened by an individual serving under him. I informed court on the various statements made by former JMO Ananda Samrasekara. Court also was aware of some of the incidents. I requested that if such statements need to be made, they should be done in court. Court instructed to follow professional ethics. The case will be taken up again on the 22nd of October.
Sandhya Eknaligoda convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
I have an issue and I am in fear. I wonder if the truth on Prageet's disappearance will ever be revealed. I will travel to Geneva this weekend to the UNHRC. I wonder what would happen when I return. I have no faith. I wonder if all those involved will be released and the CID would stop the investigations. If those persons are released, the investigations cannot continue.
The final rites of Newsfirst U reporter Priyantha Ratnayaka, who was killed following a wild elephant attack in Min area, were carried out today.
A large crowd paid their last respects to late Priyantha Ratnayaka, who put his life on the line to be the voice for the voiceless through his reporting. The final rites were performed amidst the grief of many. Priyantha's ancestral home in Rajayala was engulfed in sorrow when the remains were taken to the public cemetery in Hinguragoda. Priyantha, we salute you for your bravery. We salute you for your selfless contribution towards the society. You will be missed. May you rest in peace.
There was a lot of fuss at home that I was involved in this and that I had to run around as part of my work.
Newsfirst U reporter Priyantha Ratnayaka fell prey to an attack by a wild elephant on the 8th of this month when he attempted to capture the footage of the chasing away of the pachyderm who ran amok his village back to the wild. Our cameras captured the manner in which how Priyantha's death had yet failed to put a full stop to the problems faced by residents due to wild elephant attacks.
මේ විදුලි වැටෙන්
This is Minneria Samagipura. What is behind me is the Minneria Reserve. Wild elephants were known to roam the village before this electric fence was erected. This electric fence was erected to prevent that. However, the journalist was mauled to death by the wild elephant recently while at the Samagipura village. How did the elephant enter the village with an electric fence erected?
මේ සමගිපුරේ අලියෙකු පහර දීන්නේ. විදුලි වැටකුත් තියෙද්දි සමගිපුර ගම්මානයේට කොහෙන්ද මේ අලි කඩාවදින්නේ?
The villagers point out that even though the electric fence stretches up to 5 kilometers, only a section of the electric fence remains active.
The wildlife authorities took measures to chase the elephant off only after he died. By that time, he had died.
The negligence of the wildlife authority is what resulted in the death. Priyanta's life is invaluable. This is the location where our reporter was killed. He was squashed to death at this very location. You could see the slight cave in here. This footage shows us that the lives of these villagers are at risk and the authorities are vested with the responsibility of arresting this grave problem.
ජීවිත අනතුරක අවදානම පවතිනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ ගම්මානවල ජනතාව ආරක්ෂා කිරීමේ වගකීම.
The manner in which lands are utilized can be attributed as one of the key factors that have led to the aggravated human-elephant conflict experienced in the villages that come under the purview of the Mahawar Divisional Secretariat. Deforestation and the change in trails have led to wild elephants to encroach on villagers. News First visited the Iribis village in the Mahawar Division to inquire into this situation.
The people who destroy the forest and clear the forest should be well aware of the repercussions. It is disappointing to know that the authorities have turned a blind eye into the arbitrary use of land surrounding the forest reserves. Deforestation has seen a rapid increase in this area and fences have been set up demarcating the farmlands, restricting the movement patterns followed by animals. This has led to a situation where the wild elephants storm into the villages. The villagers of Iribisa are experiencing the repercussions of these human acts. The elephant pass was located at the Siamlangamu Oya. That is how the Vilpatha forest is connected to the others. 25 to 30 acres of land from either side of the river have been given to associates of the government. There are no deeds for those lands. They have dug up anicuts blocking the entire way. There is no space left for the elephants or for the plants. They belong to this earth the same way we do. There needs to be proper management. Deforestation and the cultivation of crops favored by elephants in close proximity to the forest reserves had led to a situation where elephants are drawn towards the villagers.
The time is now 5:45 in the evening. What you see behind me is the movement of the elephants on their way to the villages. As darkness takes over the area, wild elephants move into the villages, causing massive damages to property and at times to life.
Mama, කොයිද මේ රාවිලා යන්නේ?
ඕන් අලිකා ගහන ගෙදර ඉන්න බෑ. අලි ගොඩක් ඉන්න මං යනවා ජීවිතේ බේර ගන්න ගහේ පැලට.
හොඳයි. ඔබ මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ඔබේ නිවෙස් වලට වී සුවසේ රූපවාහිනිය නරඹනවා ඇති. නමුත් මේ ගම්මානයේ
At this very moment, you would be at your home in peace watching the television. However, the lives of these people are not as comfortable as yours. At night, they sacrifice their houses for the elephants and leave the village in fear of their own safety. Over the recent past, many ministers involved in this subject were seen taking measures. Now there is a new minister. The villagers only hope that this new minister would take action to provide them with a long-lasting solution.
News First වෙනුවෙන් දිස්නක නායන්ජන සමගින් මම මංජුල ප්‍රේමරත්න ඉරිබිස්ස ගම්මානයේ සිට.
Another wild elephant attack was reported from Vellavaya. An elephant that stormed into the Higurukara area in Athilivawa in Vellavaya early this morning had damaged 4 houses. Locals say that the inoperational electric fence had led to this situation. They lament that officials have not taken steps despite several notifications being made.
The 188th phase of the Newsfirst Media and Leadership Workshop was held today at the Galgama Budruagala Navodya School in Kurunegala. The school is located at a location where wild elephants attack takes place on a regular basis.
The students were educated on news reporting, communication skills and development as well as leadership qualities. The Citizen Media Network has surpassed all channels to inform us on the proper use of media. We have that faith in them. It has a vision encompassed in it. The Newsfirst team arrived at our school today and made us aware of many other things. The students were also given the opportunity to take part in the voice test conducted by YFM. What is significant is that one selected student will be given the opportunity to host a program on YFM. We all have a responsibility. Every child present here has a responsibility. We too have a responsibility. Politicians too have a responsibility. If you take this year into consideration, this is a year where a major political change took place. Let us not talk about that. However, what is the responsibility of a media network during such a time period? What is the responsibility of Sirasa? It is simply clear. Appear on behalf of the people's right to information and take a stand for that. That is the responsibility of the media network. I believe that Sirasa carried out that task accordingly.
සිරස ඒ කාර්ය එලෙසම ඉටු කරා කියලා.
Two deputy ministers of the new government were sworn in this afternoon before President Maithripala Sirisena. Anuradha Jayaratne was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Mahaweli Development and Environment. Meanwhile, Dushmanta Mitrapala was sworn in as Deputy Minister of Justice and Buddha Sasana.
Welcome back. Up next is Crime Watch.
Two bodies were found inside a house in the Galpot area in Naivala, Minuangoda. Police suspect that the couple had been murdered several days ago. The deceased couple had been operating a poultry farm and a pineapple plantation.
I come here to spray chemicals to the pineapple plants. When I came here this morning, there was no one. I saw a ham that was covered in a black cloth. Then I made a call and I went home. Afterwards, I made a call to the Gampaha police.
Police said that they had commenced an investigation to locate the 4-year-old daughter of the victims who was missing. Later, her body was found in an abandoned well in the farm. Our correspondent said that the homeowner also owned a lorry and added that the servant of the house was missing. One person was killed and his wife was injured in a shooting in the 21st mile post in Hatuta Amuna Laggala. The shooting took place in close proximity to a shop owned by the victim, who was aged 56 years old at the time of his death. The woman who sustained injuries was admitted to the Bakamuna Base Hospital, following which she was transferred to the Polonnaruwa General Hospital. Police have commenced an investigation into an incident where a woman died after a raft overturned in the Websirikama tank in Ampara to determine as to whether it was an accident or murder. Police said that a mother, father and child were travelling in the raft last night.
We were returning from the fair. The current was strong at that time. The raft turned over. Then I grabbed my child from one hand and directed my wife to also grab onto the raft. But she couldn't. The raft sank into the river. I dragged it back to shore. When I looked back, my wife was missing.
The body of the woman was found today. 4 suspects dressed in protective jackets and full-faced helmets had staged heist at a branch of a state bank in Kahi in Hangwella. They had robbed a sum of 1.5 million rupees. The police said that the suspects entered the bank after firing shots and then attacked the bank security officer. The injured security officer is currently receiving treatment at the Koskama Salbab Hospital.
In business news tonight, vehicle importers say that the prices of motor vehicles is likely to escalate in the near future. They say that the market price of a Japanese vehicle could increase between 200,000 to 500,000 rupees.
The Lanka Vehicle Importers Association points out that the rise in prices of vehicles could be attributed to the depreciation of the rupee with the US dollar and the strengthening of the Japanese yen. President of the association, Indika Sampath Merenchige, said that this situation could result in the prices of vehicles increasing by around 8 to 10%.
The price of a Prius is likely to increase by around 450,000 rupees, while the price of a Vessel could increase by 100,000 rupees, a Fit by 300,000 rupees, and the Aqua by 350,000 rupees. The Wagoner would see a price increase of 250,000 rupees, while the price of a Nissan Leaf would increase by 200,000 rupees. As regular importers, we have vehicles which we hope to sell at the old price, but the price will increase when the new batch is imported.
The Lanka Vehicle Importers Association further notes that the price of a Japanese van could increase by around 700,000 rupees. Vehicle importers said that the price of a 1000cc vehicle would increase by around 75,000 to 100,000 rupees.
And that wraps up Primetime News. I am Sonali Wanika Baduge.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.